Magic 87.6, morning, Andrew on the radio. Always a pleasure to talk with Mathew Dickerson. Morning.
Oh, thank you. I get a real buzz that you're so excited to talk to me, Andrew. Thank you.
Look, I'd be lying if I didn't say it was the highlight of my day. And
Excellent.
yeah, probably am. No.
Oh, you led me up the garden path and then just took me down.
Yeah, I know. I'm a disappointment sometimes. It's kind of the way it works. All right, let's talk more important stuff like tech stuff. And look, if you're whinging about your speed at home at the moment, just think about this speed, because there is a new internet speed record. And seriously, Matt, how do I get this? Because this is like mentally fast.
It'd be not too bad, would it? And I like when people break a record, a world record, that they then claim themselves they've broken. No real facts or proof around it, but these Australian researchers say that they've set a new internet world record, 44.2 terabits per second. And yeah, that's pretty seriously fast. When we might talk about NBN being, say, 100 megabits per second, 44.2 terabits per second is pretty impressive. Now, they're actually using fibre cable, so they're using the same thing that most people are using with their NBN. And they've done this over a 75-kilometre stretch. So it's not just a little thing in the laboratory going from one side of the laboratory to the other. It's actually going out in the real world. And they do talk about this research being used, deliberately using fibre cable, the same sort of technologies that we've got installed for our NBN connection, so that they can demonstrate that this can be used out in the real world using normal connections that are being used at the moment, obviously with a little bit more intelligence at both ends of the connection. Obviously, I don't see many homes being hooked up at 44.2 terabits per second in the immediate future. This sort of connection is mainly used to connect data centres to each other or as backbone connections. But what it does mean is that when we get lots of people using their 100 megabit or their gigabit connections, then you need those faster back-end connections. So it will actually be a benefit to all of us. Again, still only at the research stage, but it'll be a benefit to all of us when this sort of connection is available for those back ends. And also, they'll use this same sort of technology to eventually get to that last mile, to eventually get to the stage where we're feeding into houses. Again, I don't know about terabits, but I think we'll certainly see some increased gigabit speeds through the same technology that they're using for this sort of technology.
No, I want it now.
I'm sorry. You've got to go down to Monash University. The Clayton campus is where they've got it, so you can probably just use it there. But the problem is you could have your connection at 44.2 terabits per second, but unless you've got somewhere else the backbone, the cloud services that you're using, unless they're connected at the same speed, it doesn't matter how fast you go. If you haven't got those matching speeds at the back end, well, you're only as good as the lowest common denominator.
I'll go to Melbourne. I like Melbourne. Melbourne's a cool town. I lived in Geelong for 3.5 years. People go, 4 years. I loved it.
Well, and it's actually made it past a town now. You call it a town. It's actually a city, apparently.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Even though the freaky mayor there, he's no longer the mayor, and the weird mohawk and the fake six-packs. I don't care. It all added to it.
You're telling me that was a fake six-pack? I thought it was a real six-pack.
No. Darren Lyons was our mayor. He had the fake six-pack. Didn't you see he got the implants done?
I thought it was real. Now my whole image of him has been destroyed.
Right. I know. But see, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. Melbourne, Victoria, so much more advanced than New South Wales. Of course, I had to be a Victorian there to think of it, says the New South Welshman who was born in Wollongong.
I thought you only offended other states. I didn't know you wanted to try and offend your own home state as well. You just want to offend everyone.
I just get in with everyone. It's easier just to kind of blanket everyone, and then you just claim no bias.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Now, we're talking about fast internet speeds, but look, my phone is kind of getting jealous at the moment of my home internet is getting jealous at the moment of my phone, because my phone is faster than my home internet, Matt.
Yeah, and look, you've upgraded to a 5G phone now, and Telstra's 5G is actually doing quite well in Australia. There's a company called Open Signal that does some testing around the world. They've been clocking 157 megabits per second on average for 5G, which isn't bad, given the fact that most people probably only have 50 megabits per second on their NBN, some might have 100. So 5G is doing better than that. And that's pretty impressive. Australia has been one of the early adopters of 5G. Of course, that doesn't necessarily make it the king of the world, because in America, if you're with Verizon, you can get speeds around 500 megabits per second. So pretty impressive out of 5G. Now that's mainly because they're using the much higher frequencies, the 28 and 39 gigahertz frequencies. Australia isn't using those frequencies yet. We will at some point in time. But at the moment, that's the king of the world is over in America, 500 megabits per second, not too bad. But in Australia, some of the speeds they're getting around the world, we're pretty much up there. If you look at, say, places like South Korea, they're getting speeds a bit over 200 megabits per second. So our 157, that's not too bad.
Yeah, they have the light blue Samsung, which my wife went, I really like that colour. I'm like, don't you go get the same phone? Always happens. I go and get a phone, and then my wife goes, I really like that. Can I go get? And then you end up with the same phone.
So you come home with this 5G phone capable of incredible speeds, unbelievable cameras on it, and your wife says, I like the colour.
Yeah, of course. That's all that matters.
Apparently.
Can I make a phone call on it? Yeah, of course. The colour's nice. I'm like, well, if you get one, we're getting a different back on it. Right. No doubt you'll pick up the wrong phone and you'll see something. But it's kind of interesting because Dubbo has 5G, and I've actually done some 5G speed tests in Dubbo, and I got close to 100 downloads, but I got 92 in Dubbo the first day I got it in Sydney. Do you want to know what I got in Sydney, Matt? Because I went to Sydney for family business on the weekend. You're not going to believe this.
Well, I'm interested to hear, given the fact that our average speed in Australia is 157, you got 92 in Dubbo, so what did Sydney top out at?
I clocked out somewhere near Rouse Hill at 223.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? And that's out of your little old humble mobile phone.
I know. You want to know what I get at my house? 31.
Yeah, and this is the thing. They talk about around 30% of people, once 5G is rolled out to the majority of Aussies, they say that about 30% of people that could get the NBN will actually choose 5G because of its speed, its reliability, and probably the only downside with 5G will be if you use a huge amount of data, NBN will probably be better for you. But if you're someone that just uses, say, 100 gigs of data a month, 5G would probably be the better option.
Yeah, absolutely. It is fantastic. I've already gone through like a quarter of my data allocation this month because I've just been streaming everything.
Like a kid with a new toy.
I know, right? It is. Except my wife, she can't have one. Speaking of 5G, of course, we all know the conspiracies that they're around, and look, we all know they're all malarkey. They really are malarkey.
They are, but this one was quite funny. There was a post put up on social media that had someone talking about 5G and about how it was going to cause, I don't know, every disease under the sun, and including coronavirus. Apparently, that's all caused by 5G. And then someone put a response up, and the response came supposedly from Telstra. The actual response came from the label of the name there was Telstra, so people assumed it was Telstra. And Telstra said in that particular response that if you get onto 5G, you'll be able to download your conspiracy videos even faster, which
I did see that.
which most people found incredibly amusing. Telstra did come out and actually say it wasn't a real Telstra Facebook page, it was just someone pretending to be Facebook and thought they'd be very funny, which they were. But Telstra said, it wasn't us that would have that responded in that way, but gee, we would have liked to have responded in that way, but we can't really do that to people and call them out for their conspiracy theories. But again, there are some conspiracy theories around. There have been some protesters around the world. There have been some vandalism in the UK. Some protesters in Australia have been blocking some of the construction work. Fairly peaceful protests, but they're still stopping people going about and doing their work. But even Byron Council voted against the installation of 5G towers in their area, in their local government area, until there was more research done on the health impacts. And it's one of those things that there hasn't ever been. 1973 was the first mobile phone call made by Dr. Martin Cooper working for Motorola. And we've had phones around since then, obviously more common now than, say, back in 1973. But to this day, non-ionising radiation, including the radio station that people are listening to right now and TV stations and two-way communications and mobile phones, non-ionising radiation has not been proven to cause any negative health impacts yet. And so all the 5G theories around, the same thing happened when 4G came out and 3G. And
3G came out as well, and we went from analog to digital as well. The same thing happened. And, this technology the radio wave has been around for hundreds of years, at least 150 odd years. So it's not something new, people, and it's all based on the same stuff.
That's right. And we get more radiation from just going outside in the sun than we do from anything that we might use with a mobile phone or a radio.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Even in Mudgee here, there have been conspiracy theories all over Facebook groups and all sorts of stuff. Get over it, people. When, you all know at the end of the day, you're all going to go buy the phone. Like, there's no doubting it. Everyone needs a phone. You're going to end up using it anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, here's something we've all wasted time on, Matt. I can't believe it. I feel so old now, 30 years old. Is Microsoft Solitaire.
Can you believe it? 30 years ago, Microsoft Solitaire first was installed on an operating system from Microsoft. And they're still, to this day, they're getting about 35 million monthly players. And, that just seems incredible to me that many people are still out there playing Solitaire. But it was originally created to help people get the hang of using a mouse. Because translating from the horizontal plane, where your mouse is moving across the horizontal desk, to a vertical plane on your monitor is actually quite foreign. And so they came up with a simple little program just to have something that people would recognise and use to get the hang of their mouse. And it started from there. I think it was back about 1990 that they started rolling it out as part of Windows 3. And interestingly enough, one of the first designs that came out, which didn't get released, actually had a boss mode. And what happened with the boss mode is you could be sitting there playing Solitaire to your heart's content, busily working away there. And of course, your boss just starts to come along. So you hit boss mode and up pops up something that looked like a spreadsheet in front of Solitaire. And the idea was that your boss walked past, had a glance at your computer screen. Oh, good work, Andrew. You're working away on that spreadsheet that I asked you to work on.
That's what I'm doing now.
That's right. And then away you go, and you go back to your Solitaire game and keep working on it. But the former mayor of New York, Michael Bloomberg, he famously sacked one of the employees at the council they had there because he walked past and saw them playing Solitaire and said, that's it. If you're going to just sit there and play Solitaire all day, you can get out of here. And I bet he was wishing that Microsoft left the boss mode in there.
Yeah, I know, right? Because I'll admit, I've wasted hours and hours and hours playing Solitaire. Like back in the day, I remember the first computer we got, and it was a 486 SX, I think, which was the faster one. And it had Windows 3.1 on it. And it was like, whoa, my dad paid like $4,000 for this computer, and all we did was play Solitaire on it.
That's right. I think there's two types of people in the world, Andrew. People that admit they've played Solitaire and wasted heaps of hours, and people that lie.
Yep.
So
I know, right? That Minesweeper thing, never got the hang of that Solitaire. Got it down pat.